It was standing room only at the Village Council meeting of September 26th as residents turned out to discuss the council's proposed human rights ordinance. Following a recess during which the council consulted with the village attorney, Council President Ken Van Portfleet invited the public to comment on the matter. More than 24 citizens approached the council, representing both sides of the issue, including Lisa Goyette, who originally brought the issue to the Orion Township Board. In that case, the board voted to adopt a resolution in July of this year. In this case, the Lake Orion Village Council was considering adopting an ordinance. As the night wore on, the moment finally arrived when the council voted on the issue. The motion to support the ordinance passed by a vote of 4-3. Afterwards, we asked those in attendance to comment on what many consider to be an historic moment for the village of Lake Orion.
All of us council members tried to do our due diligence and our homework to great length on this. And I personally wanted to make sure that I voted for what my supporters, the people in this community, believe we should be doing as we go forward. We are a progressive community. We are strong, and we're not afraid. And I think that's one of the things that stood out for me, is that we can move forward regardless of the opinions of communities around us, and do what we think is right.
The council made history today. They spoke loud and clear that in the village of Lake Orion, everyone is welcome. Everyone will be treated the same when it comes to housing, when it comes to employment, when it comes to public accommodations. We also support individuals to believe as they want to believe, to worship as they want to worship. That has not changed one bit. But they are welcome here too. This is a community that welcomes everyone.
Michigan does not have protections for discrimination for sexual orientation or gender identity, and I just can't accept that that's okay. And I felt that now is the time to start bringing forth education to people that have the lack of understanding that is really what's happening, that people are allowed to discriminate against gay and transgender people. Many people did not realize that. And the hope was that we could create a community that was more inclusive and more welcoming and send that message. And we know that that's a very powerful message to send.
It was very exciting for me. I had this conversation, I think 6 years ago with a friend. I said, hey, I'm graduating, I want to go back to Lake Orion, and maybe we can get a city ordinance. I'd heard about these in other cities, and I thought this is something I can do. This is something concrete I can do in my community. And so to see that happen now is very cool. It's a little late, I think, but it's exciting. It's also exciting too because I heard rumors that they were split in leaning no this weekend. So to hear that they shifted just overnight is pretty exciting.
I've never been fired and I've never been evicted since I came out, but the impact of not having those protections in place has such a damaging effect that, I felt insecure, and also there's this sense of just not being a full person, not being a real human being because you're not counted amongst the others.
Absolutely pure elation. We're so proud of the Orion board. This ordinance is so important on so many levels, and they were courageous tonight in the face of significant opposition. And they took a principled stand and said, in effect, discrimination is not okay in the village of Lake Orion.
So what does it all mean? We asked Village Manager Darwin McClary to explain the process should a Lake Orion resident feel that he or she is being discriminated against.
If someone feels that they have been discriminated against, you're talking about in public accommodation, they can file a complaint with the village, and we will look at all the facts. We will investigate it. If we have any indication that that was in fact the case, we will try to confidentially bring both sides together to try to work out those differences, short of any court action, but have them sit down with the village as a neutral third party, see if those differences can be worked out to the satisfaction of both sides. If they cannot, then the village will have to determine whether there is enough evidence for us to enforce the ordinance, and by that issue a civil infraction ticket. That's as far as our ordinance goes. It's a civil infraction. Our ordinance does not say that discriminating against someone is a crime. It is simply a civil infraction. And then if we issue a ticket, then those people would have their day in court, and a court would determine whether or not, in fact, they were innocent or guilty of discrimination. So the village does not make that determination. A court of law would make that determination.
Has the amount of the fine been discussed at this point?
It would be the same as any other civil infraction. It would be up to $500 fine, but that would be determined by the court.
In Lake Orion, this is Joe Johnson reporting for ONTV News.